Welcome to Finding Peace in the Pieces. I'm your host, Serenity, and this is a place for honest conversations about the moments that change us. The moments when the truth is revealed, when the life you knew suddenly changes, and you're left asking, what happens now? Who am I after this? How do I rebuild after everything I thought I knew has been shaken? This podcast is about the journey that begins when the truth comes out, the moments that change us, the healing that follows, and the process of finding ourselves again. Because sometimes the hardest part of loss isn't only losing someone, sometimes it's losing the version of life we thought we were living. Sometimes it's realizing the story we believed was not the whole story. Sometimes it's discovering that something we trusted, something we built, or something we gave our heart to was not what we thought it was. And the discovery can change everything. The journey I want to explore through this podcast is one that I believe many people quietly experience: the revelation, the moment the truth comes to light, the grief, the process of mourning what was lost, the relationship, the future, the person we thought we knew, or even the version of ourselves we used to be. The rebuilding, the slow process of putting the pieces back together, learning to trust ourselves again and creating a new foundation. And finally, the becoming, discovering who we are on the other side of what tried to break us. I created this podcast because I know what it feels like when the truth changes everything. I know what it feels like to look at a life you thought you understood and realize that there are things you never knew. I was married. I believed in my marriage. I believed in the life I was building and the future I was creating. But there came a moment when things began to come to light that changed my entire perspective. For me, that moment began with something I can only describe as a prompting from God, a feeling in my spirit that I could not ignore. I felt led to check the truck console, and that moment became the beginning of a discovery that would uncover a truth I was not prepared for. A truth that would change the way I saw my marriage, my circumstances, and even myself. What followed was a season of grief, and grief does not always look the way people expect. Because sometimes you are grieving someone, you're grieving the person you thought you knew. Sometimes you are grieving dreams, promises, memories, and a future you thought was guaranteed. It is a unique kind of heartbreak when the thing you're losing is the reality you believed you were living. But through that pain, something else began: a rebuilding, a rediscovery, a process of learning who I was outside of what happened to me. I started picking up the pieces. I started finding my voice again. I started discovering that my story didn't end with my betrayal. The truth changed my life, but it did not get to define my future. And that is why this podcast exists, because I know there are so many people walking through their own version of this journey. People who have experienced betrayal, people who have discovered painful truths, people who have experienced loss, people who are healing from childhood wounds, broken relationships, abandonment, grief, or seasons that changed them forever. And they are all asking a similar question: how do I find myself after everything I knew has changed? This podcast is about those stories, stories of people who experienced a life changing truth, loss, or betrayal, and how they rebuilt themselves afterwards. Here, we will talk about the moments that break us, the lessons that shape us, and the healing that helps us become who we are meant to be. I want to create a space where people can share their stories honestly. Some may share their names, some may remain anonymous, some may simply need a place where their story can be heard. Because sometimes telling our story is a part of healing, and sometimes hearing someone else's story reminds us that we are not alone. If you are listening to this right now, and you are someone who's somewhere between the revelation and rebuilding, I want you to know this. The truth may have changed your life, but it does not have to destroy your future. There is a healing after heartbreak, there is a hope after loss, and there is a strength after betrayal, and there is a version of you waiting to be discovered. Healing from betrayal is not just about moving on, it's about learning to sit with the truth, allowing yourself to feel everything without judgment, and slowly rebuilding your sense of reality and trust. And that includes trusting yourself again. Because one of the biggest things betrayal can take from you is your confidence in your own perception. But you can rebuild that piece by piece, day by day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share this space with you. And I hope you'll join me as we explore the journey from revelation to grief to rebuilding and ultimately to becoming. Before we close, I want to remind you that you are not alone. If something you heard today connected with you, if you have a story you'd like to share, or if you'd like to reach out and be part of this conversation, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me through this email listed in my bio. Whether you want to share your experience, suggest a topic, or simply say hello, your voice matters, and I'd be honored to hear from you. Thank you for listening and for being open and for helping create a space where real stories, healing, and hope can be shared.